along with his disciples, and he says, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and become second. Follow me. So I'm so happy that Kay was willing to share her story this morning. I have not heard her story, but the simple instructions, and she's a Lilliputian, so let me lower this down just a little bit. And Kay, would you come up and let's hear what she has to say. What does it mean to follow Jesus? How has he made her life different, better, out of darkness into the light? Good morning. God bless you. Thanks for doing this. All right.
Thank you. I came from a large family, a rather large family, and was the youngest daughter, and I was very shy and bashful. Nobody else in the family was shy and bashful, only myself. And my mom and dad kind of were, they didn't like that, and they were always pushing me. And but they were actually pushing me in deeper and deeper into a depressive state. And I started experiencing bouts of depression when I was like 11, 12 years old. And over the years, it just continued to get worse and worse. And at the age of 16, my brother, he had a friend who noticed me and started talking to me and spending time at the house. And even when my brother wasn't there, he was always hanging around. And he knew that I was having a very difficult time. As my other siblings were very bossy, and he rescued me. I felt like I met my knight in shining armor, and he just whisked me away. We married, and I was only 16 years old, and it was wonderful. It was like the depression lifted, because I didn't have all those people pushing me all the time. And for a year, we were so happy. But when that spirit of depression gets its claws in you, it gets worse and worse. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, things got worse again. And but I was pregnant. And when I realized I was pregnant, I thought, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. Once again, the depression lifted. And I was just excited about this pregnancy. And I had this wonderful baby, and our life was wonderful. But then right before his first birthday, I started feeling that depression coming on me again. And it came on with a vengeance. And I could no longer eat. I became anorexic. I couldn't go out in public. I couldn't drive. Fear just literally gripped me, and I could not do anything. And my husband, he did everything he could, but it was never enough. In today's language, I'd say I was mentally ill. Back then, people didn't say that about me. They just said, she's got problems, But I struggled through it the best I could, and the only thing that kept me going was my child. I loved him with all my heart, and it kept me going. And when he was 3 years old, actually he was 4 years old, I came to a place in my life where I thought, this is not fair to him. This is not fair to my husband, because I can't be the happy, joyous mother he needs. Because I wake up with heaviness on my heart. I go to sleep with heaviness on my heart. I have dreams. I just couldn't escape it. I couldn't escape it. So suicide started coming into my thoughts, my heart, and I just felt like this is the only way. This is the only way I'll ever know peace. And so I started making my plan. My husband was he carpooled. So I knew what day of the week the car would be in the garage. And I just made this decision that I would, that particular afternoon, I would put my child in bed for his nap, and I would turn on the car in the garage, and I would go to sleep. And I knew my husband would be home shortly after that. That morning, every time I picked up my child, every time I fed him, every time I read a book to him, I kept telling myself, this is the last time. This this is the last time. And I was just so overwhelmed with this because I thought, how can I let him go? How will he ever know how much I love him? And so I prayed one last prayer. I said, God, if you are real, if you are there, please, please show me. Please, please come in and show me. I sat down at the table with my son and the doorbell rang. I got up, I went to the door, and it was a neighbor. I didn't even know her, but I'd seen her. We hadn't lived in our home for about a year. And she was standing there looking a little embarrassed, but she was very bold. She said, God has put an urgency on my heart to come up here and tell you how much he loves you. And she started crying, and she said, I've been praying for you for days, and I don't know why, but I know that I know I have to come and tell you this. And she had a necklace, and she handed it to me, and she said, God told me to give you this, and it was a crucifix. And I broke. And she came in the house, and she talked to me, and I shared what I was going to do, and she prayed for me, and she prayed with me, and she led me to the Lord. And from that day, the Spirit of God filled me with peace. I had a peace I had never known. I had never known that peace. And I felt like I was walking like it was surreal, like I was walking in a dream. It was just, he took me from darkness into his marvelous light, and I felt like I was just walking in some kind of a mystic dream because everything was so wonderful. She took me to a ladies' Bible study, and I started hearing about Jesus. My grandmother had told me some things about Jesus, but my family always mocked her and made fun. And so I was always afraid to say anything or learn more. But it was wonderful because this woman who became my Bible study teacher became my best friend. She was 40 years older than me. And she walked every day through my life with me and taught me how to forgive, how to forget, how to lay things aside, and how to move forward and enjoy my life. And so from that day forward, I've been able to serve the Lord, and I've never experienced it again. 45 years strong last month, and I praise God for it.
Wow.